You fellas ready? The Dental Legacy Foundation, we did a thing. We made some, in the words of Clarkson, we did a thing. We made a thing. I don't think any of us knew that we were going to make a thing or that we expected it to become this thing. But here we are. We've got our own bouncing baby Dental Legacy Foundation. Nice work, guys. So I think it would behoove anyone listening to this to better understand. I think we would be smart to lay out for anyone listening to this what the Dental Legacy Foundation is, how it came about, and really what are our goals with the foundation, and what do we hope happens? What's the outcome from what we're doing, and why we made this thing, this incredible opportunity that kind of manifests itself into our lives. I think, Jared, I think you had an interesting pivotal role in the development of this. As it started off with the conversation that you had, and I think it would be good just to start there and start the conversation rolling and the discussion rolling about, maybe give some background of what happened before you started talking to Brad Smith.
Sure. So we were at a point in my career. I'd been practicing dentistry for maybe 12, 15 years or something. And I'd found quite a bit of success in the practice, as far as a very productive, profitable practice, and I was looking for more of the actual way to give back, not just success but also significance in my life. And so I had some friends, dental friends, who had volunteered in these dental humanitarian efforts, and I decided that it was time. It would be a good time for me, and my kids were at a good age where my wife and I could go away for a few days or a week or whatever and give back to these times. And so we had built this group, this Elevation Association group, where we collaborated with other like-minded dentists, and we were at one of our conferences that we'd put on. And we were talking about leaving a legacy. We were talking about, and we were listening to people who had left legacies and some things that they had done.
The theme of the conference being legacy, right?
Yeah,
leaving
the theme
legacy.
of the conference was legacy.
Yeah.
Was leaving a legacy. And so we were listening to some of these other dentists, older dentists who had, and people who had gone and volunteered in these humanitarian efforts. And so it sparked my interest and kind of lit the fire underneath me to want to be a part of that, or in one way or another. I wanted to do a trip, one trip. I wanted to just try it out and see if it was something that I wanted to do. So I shared that with the group, that hey, this is something that I find very interesting and I'd like to do that. And there were several people in that Elevation Association group who then approached me and said, hey, here's an opportunity that we do. We go to Belize, or we go to Dominican Republic, or we go to these other places and do this. And one of them was Dr. Brad Smith from Midwestern University. He said, hey, we do a couple humanitarian trips as well. We do one in Tonga and one in Central America. Guatemala, I think, is where they go. And I said, that'd be great. Let's, let me know when the next trips are. And in the next few months, we reached out to some of these organizations and got some more information, but never really committed to do a trip. It was, and so we ended up at our next Elevation Association conference, which is where Brad was at. Dr. Brad Smith was at that conference as well. And Dr. Smith then approached us, the three of us, and said, hey, how serious are you guys about doing a humanitarian trip? And we said, we're pretty serious. We'd love to do one. He said, well, I think I might have the opportunity to start one in Africa. And I think we were all in, because I don't think any of us realized how much work it was going to be to start and run. this humanitarian trip. But we were excited, and we said yes, absolutely.
It sounds so like, oh yeah, of course we want to do
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
Well, how hard can it be?
How hard can it be,
Meh,
right?
Sure.
How much time and energy and resources is this going to use?
Yeah,
No
just
idea.
roll up. Well, and it sounded too like we had a lot of pieces already in place. So we're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna roll up and do it.
Yeah, and it's amazing how it's evolved. But at that point in time, it was in its infancy stage. It was still just an opportunity to go over and offer dental care. Like that was the premise under which the Dental Legacy Foundation was started. There were various steps along the way, like you said, that were already in place, which was incredible. So Dr. Smith had been approached by Michael Dosek, whose son Logan was a student at Midwestern University and unfortunately had some health complications and passed away his freshman year. And so Logan's father, Mike, who was already doing some humanitarian work in Tanzania. He had some contacts there. He had partnered with St. Gaspar's Precious Blood of the Catholic Church. And he approached Dr. Smith and said, hey, I'd like to maybe do a dental clinic there in memoriam of my son, Logan. What do you think? Can you help at a university level? And he said, I'd love to help however I can. However, we can't sponsor the trip because of various different reasons of university red tape and so forth. And so he said, but I know of a group who does. And so that's when he approached us. And we said, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to explore more about this and figure out more about this. And so we got on a conference call with Mike and Brad Smith, and Mike said, hey, I've got these contacts in Tanzania. You know, they are willing to, give us a room within their teaching hospital. We just need to figure out how to equip it and what to do. And so we said, great, give us the dimensions of the room. We'll kind of draw out what we think would work. And he said, oh yeah, I've got a good friend who works for Midmark who might be able to help us out with the donation. We thought, oh great, let's pursue that avenue. So we sat down, we drew it out. We decided, ideally we'd put a couple chairs in here, some cabinetry. There's no way that anybody would donate all this stuff, but we're gonna just draw it up as if that was the case. And so we drew it all up, and we told Mike, hey, we'd like these 2 chairs, cabinetry, we'd like an extra unit, and we let that would be ideal for this space. And so Mike submitted that to his friend Mitch Eiding at Midmark and said, Mitch, what can you do? And he said, well, let me look over it. I'll get back to you. And a couple days later, he got back to us and said, great. And we said, what do you mean great? He's like, great. He says, I think we can do it all. And it was incredible. It was a huge, huge donation. He said, the only catch is you got to figure out how to get it over there. And we're like, okay.
How hard can it be?
How hard can it be? And so we arranged for shipping, to have it over in a shipping container. We arranged for the dates of the first visit. And this was in 2022. June, we were going to go over in July of 2022. And because of the war between Ukraine and Russia, there were some shipping lanes that were closed down, and so the shipping got delayed, so we pushed back our trip to August, just a month later. And frankly, we weren't sure if we were going to have any equipment or supplies. And so, but we thought, we've already got this planned. We're going to go over there. If nothing else, we'll establish relationships and contacts and do what we can do, maybe some oral hygiene education or whatever it is. And so we ended up going and found word shortly before we left that our stuff had arrived, but it was sitting in customs, and they weren't sure if it was ever going to go through customs. So we got there, and that first night we stayed the night there in Tanzania, in Dar es Salaam, which is the biggest city there in Tanzania. And the next morning, our equipment still hadn't cleared, so we thought, we'll give it a day before we travel to the inner city, Tanzania. And so we gave it a day, and by the end of the day, our stuff had all cleared through customs, and it was being put on a truck and sent out towards Itigi, which is where the main teaching clinic is. So that's didn't seem brief, but that was a fairly brief synopsis. There was a bunch of other things that happened in between: the formation of a 501c3 nonprofit, a few other donations, and a bunch of supplies. Burkhart came through big with a bunch of supplies, and a bunch of other people did too. So all in all, there was a series of fortuitous events that caused this thing to come about.
Yeah, it's a lot of, it felt like there was a lot of kind of miracles along the way that occurred to allow this all to happen. And there was just series of fortuitous events that seemed like, I think it felt like every corner we hit, like, oh, well, this isn't going to happen. We actually had to make some changes and do some stuff to make it happen. But it's one of these entities that exists that feels like it was supposed to exist, right? It seems like it was meant to be here. And, on the surface, people are like, well, let me ask a question that we get, let me put it out, I think it should be addressed, that we get asked all the time, is why go to Africa to do work? Why can't you just do it here? So why? We'll answer that question. What's the answer to that question?
That's an interesting question, because there is a lot of work to do here in your own local community. And I think people should strive to make an impact in where they are and where they live. And I think, first of all, that question maybe supposes that we don't do that, but
right, implies that we're not doing anything.
Which we just simply, we don't advertise what we do here because it's local, and there are local people that are affected, and they don't want to know, or they don't want people to know, and we don't need people to know what all we do locally. We feel like we do a lot, and that's good enough for us.
Yeah.
Second, once you get over to a country like that, you realize the difference in the actual poverty levels. What is accessible, what's not accessible. We ended up in a village of Malongwe where they had barrels of water that they had stored from the rainy season 6 months ago. That was their water source. There was no well, there was no way to irrigate their farms. They would plant farms, but they couldn't harvest because it is totally dependent upon the rain, because they didn't have anywhere to get the water. And there's no emergency care. And part of it is that they have a local witch doctor maybe that they go to for some care, but they just don't have any relationship with Western medicine. And so that was one of the big barriers that happened when we went over there, was to overcome that barrier. But as far as the doing work, why work there, why work here? I think there's a ton of good work that's happening here, and a lot of great people that are doing a lot of good work here. This just happens to be where we had this opportunity fall into our place, and we'd like to make an impact in that part of the world right now.
So you started to do this, Jared, and Ryan, I want you to kind of pick it up. Paint a picture of what Tanzania is like. What is I mean, it's a big country, right? But paint a picture for someone that, if I say Tanzania, I think most people understand, oh, that's in Africa, but paint a picture of what it's like over there.
Tanzania's a fantastic country. And typically, I think when people think of Africa, they're thinking of Tanzania, because it's where Kilimanjaro is. It's where the Serengeti is. Like, there's so many great natural resources that are right there in Tanzania.
Jane Goodall did her research there.
Yeah, it's just the quintessential.
Brian, can we get you to get a little bit closer?
This isn't giving great audio either.
You're not hearing it through this.
I'm hearing yours okay.
Are you?
Yours, I wasn't.
Not hearing very good. Does
That's
this sound
much
better? I'll get right up in here.
Yeah.
Mine sounds different than when we started.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, let's see a different cable.
Yeah, all right. Dan,
I'm not opposed to the way it sounds. I'm just saying it sounds different.
Right.
Like
It
I
was
sounded
not
like.
fine on the recording.
Okay, I sounded like Jared, and now it sounds different. So
You sound good to me.
okay, it might just be my headphones too. Who knows?
here, let me, if you can talk for me, I can.
Sure. What do you want me to talk about? Let's talk about lettuce. The virtues of lettuce. It's low calorie for one.
It's crisp.
It's crisp. It's a slow way to hydrate.
It's iceberg. There's romaine.
There's all sorts of kinds. Yeah. There's one called butter, which it turns out doesn't spread at all. I've tried.
So peach sweaty.
Yeah.
This isn't recording, is it?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
embarrassed.
This is now I'm completely without audio.
Yeah, no,
Well, after that comment.
Well, Kai's messing with me.
He's cut your mic, actually.
Yeah, he's like,
He got his mic.
You,
It said beach ready.
you try to spread
Oh,
lettuce,
yeah.
you moron. It doesn't work. Hey, that sounds better. I don't know what you did, Kai, but
He unplugged me now.
Soloing so I can
well, it's about time. Damn it, Kai, you cut me off again. Yeah, now I'm solo in a different
Can you
way.
hear me now? Can you hear me?
I just look like this.
How about me? Yep.
Guy.
He talks a lot but doesn't have anything to say.
Okay.
That would be a funny prank to do on
Yeah.
Right? Just let him just let him ramble.
All right, I'm good to go. I'm gonna let
All right.
Okay, sorry about that. If you
No,
could
no.
ask the question to Ryan.
No, yeah. So Ryan, I want you to paint a visual, in words, paint a visual picture of what Tanzania is like.
So I think when most people think of Africa, they're thinking of Tanzania. It's just such the quintessential kind of African country. It's where the Serengeti is. It's where Kilimanjaro is. It's kind of that. What you think of when you think of Africa, right? Is Tanzania. It's a big country. It's beautiful. It's spread out. The people are absolutely fantastic and beautiful and just gracious people and happy-go-lucky people.
It's home of the Maasai warriors,
Right,
which
Maasai warriors,
everyone again when they think about the tribes in Africa, they think of the Maasai.
Think of the Maasai, and so Tanzania is just this amazing place in Africa, right? And we're so blessed to be able to go there and do this humanitarian trip there. And the places where we were pretty far out in the country. From
How far out would you say
It's
if you were to take,
about
a bus ride?
like maybe a 15, 18-hour bus ride.
Whoa,
I
that's a
think,
long
something
way.
It gets longer every time we talk about it. It's a 28-day bus ride.
It took forever. They have a saying in Africa, poli poli, right? Which
Yeah.
slowly.
Slowly.
So anytime you're like, when are we going to get there? Poli poli.
When we get there. Yeah.
when we get there.
What? So when we flew in, talk a little bit about the juxtaposition of a place like Dar es Salaam, right, with that of a place like Malangwe.
Yeah, so Dar es Salaam is this enormous city, big bustling city. I don't know how many people there are, millions and millions of people. And in contrast, like the village of Malangwe, where we established these clinics in two locations. One was in the city of Itigi, where there's a fairly nice hospital that the Society of the Precious Blood is established in Itigi.
St.
St. Gaspar, right? Yeah, and it's a beautiful facility and services like a large geographic area. I think they said they service about 2 million people in the geographic area, just because there's no other hospital kind of out there as far as that is. And then they have a little dispensary in a little village named called Malangwe, which is about hour and a half, 2 hours away from Itigi in a bus ride. And the village is very small, like very remote, very isolated. Kind of like Jared was saying, they collect rainwater for their water and those kind of things. So the dental clinic is, it's kind of an anomaly in the middle of nowhere, right? Because the entire country of Tanzania only has like a handful of dentists in the entire country.
It's
like,
hard to get an account from anybody
Right,
to
like,
know how many there really are.
They said like the last census there was only like 25 dentists,
Yeah.
and we've heard different numbers back and forth.
But the
it's
highest I think we ever heard is what, like 60 something?
60, 70, something
Yeah.
like that. It was like, and there's like 70 million people in Tanzania, so you're looking at like one dentist per million people, something like that. It's just statistics wise. So most people never ever see a dentist, and go a long time with pain and suffering before they ever get to see someone, and someone at a skill level like the dentist we have here, and just ever, right, with the skill set. So it's
And I think it's safe to say that if all we did was palliative care, just did emergency care, and just was that, maybe old school model of, a humanitarian dental group going out and just showing up and just taking care. You could do that for the rest of your life and really not make a giant dent. I mean, you would be doing good, obviously, but it'd be hard to me even make a dent because there's so much need, you know.
So, and just to kind of piggyback back on your question you asked, Jared, why Africa, why Tanzania, why not concentrate on here? And I think most people here, if they have a need, there's access to care of some kind. It might come at a little bit of a cost or something here, but like there's access, and there it's just like non-existent. There's just no access to care like anywhere. So I think for me that was a big eye opener as far as like why Africa is just the lack of any kind of dental care over there was just, it was almost overwhelming just how little access people have to that, right?
It's what I call castaway care, which is the movie Castaway. Tom Hanks' character develops an abscess and it's killing him, and he has to take the tooth out on his own. I mean, and I don't say that to be funny. I'm being serious. That it's, where do they go? Where are you going to go? Maybe go see the local physician, maybe, the witch doctor that's in the village, maybe, or maybe you have your uncle or your aunt, help you out with it. There's no like organized dental care to be
without,
found.
X-ray equipment or to really see underlying issues and things that are going on. Just again, before the clinics were just not possible, right? So
well, and I think Jared, you talked about this, the collection of rainwater. When you talk about there being access to dental care, their main concern isn't dental care. Their main concern is
Survival.
not dying of malaria,
Survival.
just getting enough water to survive. And so, they are dying from dental abscesses and infections. They are having issues where, we trivialize those things here, because we have access to care. But there, a small problem can become a massive problem for someone.
it's just such a different culture, different lifestyle. Like, I mean, when we were at the hospital, there was 2 kids that were in there that had been like attacked by an elephant in the village, and like that's just not something anybody here deals with, or and had a lot of bones broken and stuff, and it's just a different lifestyle, different things that they have to deal with.
But I agree with you. I think that the people there are beautiful inside and out. They're beautiful people. I swear, I don't think I've ever been to a place that has more colorful clothing. They have this incredibly bright, vibrant, and you contrast that with the kind of the harsh conditions in where we are in Antigua and Malangwe, the nature's conditions there. It looks a little deserty. It's kind of, you can tell it gets hot, right? And it's gorgeous, and the people are so kind, unbelievably kind and welcoming and warm and just so friendly. Like that was, I've been really fortunate to be able to travel to some places that are known for hospitality, like Japan. And I go and Japan's kind of set this standard of hospitality. And then you go to Tanzania and it's like, I mean, it's a different type of hospitality. It's more like, welcome to my home, and how can I make you comfortable? And it's just different, and it's such a I think a little more personal. They invite you into their lives pretty readily, which I love that component.
It was so incredible, just like you're saying, how they come dressed to come see the dentist, right? Like,
yeah,
they're dressed in their nicest clothes. They all look beautiful, and they just come ready to give their best, right?
Yeah.
At everything they're doing, and so they'll come in and take their shoes off, super respectful, and just beautiful people.
Yeah, and awesome. They're smart, intelligent, well-educated. Like, it's not these things that are the barrier. It's this, the barrier is lack of information, and access to care, money for infrastructure, that kind of thing. Things that are completely out of their control. And so, yeah, I think that it's a genuinely unique place to go and serve and to do work. And I think that we really lucked out that, I mean, it is on the other side of the planet, which I think is kind of cool in a lot of ways. But it is completely unique, especially if you're from the West. Like, it's totally different.
And we lucked out in the partners, St. Gaspar, the Society of the Precious Blood, just an incredible group of
Yeah. So
individuals.
who are those guys?
So they're kind of a religious denomination from the Catholic Church, and their kind of overall mission is to be at the kind of the point of the spear, right? Like wherever there's suffering and need, that's where they want to be, is kind of out in the field at that kind of contact point of pain and suffering. So these are missionaries that have dedicated their lives to kind of go into those, remote areas and provide care and service, spiritual help and temporal help for these people who are in these kind of the roughest elements, right? And so it's just amazing to see what they've built over the years. Some of these missions have been established for several years now, and just the infrastructure that they've been able to provide in kind of these rural areas, and just how inventive they are, how they go out of their way and provide infrastructure, water projects, take care of the needy and the sick, and the hospitals, the dispensaries, the vocational schools that they're trying to do to help provide better living for these people. But they're kind of these missionaries that like to go into that, the edge where the need is really severe. And so we've been super blessed to partner with them and benefit from years and years of service and sacrifice that they've done to get these facilities in place in kind of these remote places.
I mean, you guys have traveled a bit. Jared, I know you've traveled quite a bit and been able to see some places that are maybe a little bit different. Were you prepared when we flew in and touched down in Dar es Salaam? Is it what you expected? Were you prepared for what came next? Between going to the fish market to traveling by bus for 38 days and coming into Itigi, this town of Itigi, and then, I mean, were you prepared for what you saw and the experience?
That's a good question. I'm not sure what I expected. It was Dar es Salaam. I don't know. Dar es Salaam wasn't what I was expecting. I will say that. I wasn't expecting a huge bustling city. I was picturing the Maasai warriors. I was picturing.
Yeah, fairly modern city.
Yeah, Dar es Salaam's modern. The fish market was incredible. It was gross. It was guts everywhere. People walking around in sandals, and
or barefoot.
And but a true barter system, and we were definitely the outcasts. I mean, when we walked in, people are like, "What are you guys doing here?" And we were like, "I don't know. What are we doing here?"
Yeah.
But it was
Mazunga,
yeah.
which is white guy in Swahili.
Swahili, yeah. But then once we got out to Itigi and Malongwe, it was more beautiful than what I was expecting. And I think part of that was the compound of St. Gaspar's. They built a compound where they're very resourceful, self-sustaining. They farm their own food. The food is farm to table. They grow they raise all their meat and so forth. And they were the accommodations were totally fine. We felt very safe the whole time. There were armed guards around the borders just in case, but when we were out and about, never felt any sort of danger. Never felt like we were we were definitely a spectacle because we were the Americans, but it was never felt like we were in danger by
Right.
any means. And then the fact that they were so welcoming and wanting us to be there was fantastic. I wasn't sure what to expect there either.
Were you prepared from a long way?
Malongwe was a little smaller than what I was thinking. I remember when we pulled up to Malongwe, which was this tiny little remote village. I remember one of our doctors said, "No." He said, "Let's turn around right now, and we're going back to ETE." And I think it was you, Dan's like, "No, let's just play it out. Let's see what it is." and it ended up being the place that we fell in love with. Really,
It's my jam. That's my kind of place.
oh man, it was super rustic. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
it's awesome.
there's no that we stayed in the nicest place in town, which didn't have a toilet and or running water. There were some beds and they had the mosquito netting around them. So we were treated like royalty when we were there. The weirdest thing in Malongway was rolling up and seeing a white guy from Nebraska. We're like, who are you? He's Father Tim, and he was Father Tim's story.
They could
is-
barely speak English when he talked to us, right?
Yeah, he said, when was the, he was kind of going in and out of Swahili and English, and we said, when was the last time you spoke English? And it had been, 3 years?
Yeah,
or something
like
since he'd
that.
spoken
Yeah,
English?
3 or 4 years.
Which was insane. And so we sat down with him and got a story, and he's been in Tanzania for 30 to 40 years. His whole life. And he goes out to these tiny little places, living on absolutely nothing, super low budget, and you could tell that the people loved him. He would make a joke or a comment, and they would just absolutely crack up and laugh, and we had no idea what he was saying. He was probably talking about us, is what it was.
That's right.
Yeah, it's low hanging fruit. Ryan, were you prepared? I like to frame it as prepared, because I think that I was taken back multiple times by things that I saw. Were you prepared for the level of, like, the red carpet they rolled out for us? The things that they did for us in gratitude. Were you prepared or expecting any of that?
No, no, not at all. We didn't know what to expect going over there. We're always like, this could be great, or this could be terrible, or this could be somewhere in between. Just not knowing. And we fell in love with the people. They were just so gracious and kind, and took such good care of us. And again, from the church administration to the hospital staff, and just the people, we were welcomed, open arms and full bellies, right? Like, they fed us really well, took really good care of us. Loved the champion dentist from America.
That's right. Yeah,
Right?
they call us
So,
champion dentists from America.
So
Well, they're not wrong.
which was fantastic, and just again, the church organization was fantastic, and now they've become some of our closest friends. I text almost daily with Father Justin over in Itigi, and he's one of my closest friends, and just I've built great relationships with them over there, and them with us, and the second time going back was just even that much more, because there wasn't this, what are we expecting to come in, and I think, it was just like friends getting back together after not seeing each other for a year, and we just hit off right where we left off, and again, the mutual love between the foundation and the people we were serving was just reciprocated, and just it was fantastic.
Well, and you had the opportunity to go and do, the cultural celebration at the well,
Yeah.
and in addition to the one that they had for us in Itigi. So, that was, holy crap, that was insane, right? That was such a cool thing.
Yeah, it was amazing. We had and again, the church gave us so much great support. We had the provincial of Tanzania, which is the kind of the highest ranking official in the entire country of Tanzania, that was there with us, and we also had the highest ranking official from Italy that had come over to dedicate the clinics and that in the hospital. And so, they rolled out the royal carpet and took us to, cultural celebrations. They had just done a big water project, put in a well, and the whole village celebrated, and they included us in the celebration, got us Maasai robes and presents and gifts, and just really made us feel welcome and a part of everything that was going on, which was just absolutely fantastic. And so, and again, we built friendship with these individuals, and it was fun to see the clinic get dedicated, like the ceremony there. We had Steve Call from Midwestern University give a great speech and talk as part of the foundation, and able to dedicate the clinics and just it was a good partnership between us and them, and just great memories. And
Do you have
Yeah.
do you have any favorite memories from your time over there, or experiences maybe?
I have a lot of incredible memories. I took my wife, and she was my assistant over there. And for both of us, there were a bunch of life-changing experiences. One of the ones that impacted me the most, I think, was when we visited the Village of Hope, which is also part of St. Gaspar's. So the Village of Hope is the village in Dodoma, which is a project that started to take care of kids who had been abandoned or their parents had been killed by HIV, and these kids are all HIV positive. And it started out with a priest a father who went there and had 2 kids and started an organization to take care of them. The original intent of it was really palliative care till they died. It was to give them somebody who would love them until they died. And that was it. That was how it started. And as most of our listeners know, there was and currently is a huge problem with HIV and AIDS in Africa. And talking millions and millions of people in Tanzania alone that are infected with it. And so there were various people who would come up to them and say, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is simply 2, 3, 4 kids. I mean, what are you gonna do?" And he shared the story of the starfish, all the starfish that were on the beach, and the one kid was throwing them back in, and someone came up to him and said, "Hey, look at all the starfish. You're not doing any good." And he said, "Well, I can start with this one and help this one." And so then the other guy started grabbing the starfish and throwing them back into the ocean as well. And so there were actually starfish throughout the Village of Hope. And since that time, and they had a series of miracles as well in the building of that compound, the Village of Hope. They have been able to since expand their operations. They have, I don't know how many acres, but they now have hundreds of kids that they help out, and now these kids are getting the medication that they need to not die from AIDS, essentially. And they're giving these kids an opportunity to work and contribute to society and to live, life to the fullest that they possibly can. And what was incredible was that the father, the priest who went and started this, is from Italy, but he was the provincial over the whole country of Tanzania for a while. And then when he got replaced, he went back to his little corner of the vineyard and just started to do some work. And it was really inspiring to see that. So I think that was one of my favorite moments. My favorite moments is to see these people who have dedicated their lives to helping other people. I mean, that's it. They've sacrificed really all the things that we deem the good life, or the things that we maybe search out for, or the typical standards of success. They have foregone all of that and lived a life of service, which has been really inspiring.
Ryan, how about you?
I mean, the Village of Hope was absolutely inspirational, right? That was just an amazing thing to see what they had accomplished in that time frame. Like the village was beautiful. The orphanage was like immaculate and big and occupied like several city blocks now, and self-sustaining, and to see some of those kids now working as administration and hospital workers there at the facility was fantastic. I love the vocational school interaction too there, the cornhole tournament we had with the kids. They'd built some cornhole boards because they knew we were coming, painted a set with Tanzanian flags and another set with American flags. And they wanted to play against us, and they killed us. Like they absolutely made us look terrible at cornhole because they'd been practicing ready for our arrival. And so that was also another great project that the church had going on. Just again, a school where kids from 15 to kind of the late 20s have an opportunity to go learn a vocation to provide for their needs, like electrical work or auto mechanics or sewing, and so that was fun to participate with them and just build that friendship and have fun with them. And then again, the second trip, I think coming in with a little bit more knowing everything, and I think guards were down. Everybody could kind of be themselves a little bit more. We got the opportunity to play soccer and volleyball and basketball with just the hospital staff and the kids, and just really had a great time. And those are some of my favorite memories, just interacting and there was a lot less formality in the second trip, right? It was just kind of like go see your friends and play games and have fun, and it was great. So,
for me, I share in those, in you guys' sentiments about that. But one of the things that was most impactful to me was on our first trip, we were in Malongwe, and my wife comes up to me. She's like, Dan, I need you to come and take a look at this little baby. This couple wants you to take a look at their baby. And I don't speak Swahili. They don't speak English. And I see these two, and this is a fairly emotional thing for me. So I'm gonna power through this, talking about this. These two parents holding this cute little girl, very young, 6 months younger, and they pull her lip back, and I immediately could see what was going on. It was probably a rare form of squamous cell or something else like that was, if not treated aggressively and quickly, probably was going to get worse. And it did two things to me. One, it deepened my resolve to come and make a difference there, and realized that if we stopped where we were, if we just showed up and tried to give palliative care, we are missing the boat. And the second thing I think it did for me was seeing something like that I couldn't help, made me realize that there's room for expansion in what we're doing, and that we can do like the Village of Hope. It can start with a ragtag band of dentists from Idaho and Arizona and wherever, and come out and build it into something to where now that is a treatable thing. That same day, my wife grabbed me again. Dan, I need you to come and look at this. And this, she was probably in her 60s, pulled her lip down, and probably a hemangioma, maybe a neuroma, something like that on her lip, the size of a plum, that she's been living with for a long time. And it's like, man, we're going to get the right people here to take care of this stuff. Of course, the next trip, we brought a good friend, an oral surgeon, with us. And I made it a point to try to hunt those people down, and I couldn't hunt them down. And I said, okay, so my next trip is like, we're going to find these people where they are and make sure that we have that, that type of care. But those were some experiences that for me, I don't think I'll ever forget those, even though they weren't necessarily positive experiences. I think that the outcome can be a positive experience from things that happen like that. And so, when people, that's what's in my mind when people say, well, why don't you just do, humanitarian aid closer to home? It's like, well, because no one else is doing this, because we need to.
There was, after the first trip, during the first trip, I don't know that I realized the impact that we were going to have on the people. I mean, I knew we were getting people out of pain. I knew we were taking out broken teeth and so forth. But a couple of weeks after we got back, we started getting a couple of videos from some of the local residents. And one of the ladies, one of the really cool videos, she said, I have not been able to eat meat for years because I haven't been able to chew because she's been in so much pain and had such an abscess. And for us, it was a 10-minute get her numb and take the tooth out. But for her, it was a lifetime of not getting enough protein, not getting enough nutrients to eat. And that one visit changed the course of her life. And that's just one example of the hundreds and hundreds of people that we saw.
Yeah, and here an abscess is a painful inconvenience. There, it's a whole different ballgame. So let's transition a little bit. Let's talk about, so what are the goals? We have got some background, some nice background on the Dental Legacy Foundation, but what's the purpose? Why does Dental Legacy, why does the Dental Legacy Foundation exist? I mean, let's talk about that. Let's put that out and explain why it exists. This has been a really fun thing to work through and to better formulate a good, if you want to call it an elevator pitch of why we exist. But Jared, why do we exist?
So currently our mission, we've narrowed it down to our mission, because there are lots of different opportunities to serve there.
So many.
In so many ways, from water to the school to to teaching English to dentistry. It's so broad that we had to narrow down really what the Dental Legacy Foundation does. Why do we exist? And the Dental Legacy Foundation exists to transform lives and empower the communities by establishing a better, sustainable oral health system in Tanzania.
That sounds, I think for someone to hear that, they'll go, well, that sounds pretty lofty.
Sure does.
But I think it's important. Read that again.
I'll read this for you again. We're transforming lives. First of all, we're transforming lives in Africa, and we're also empowering the communities that we visit. So the Tigi, Malongwe, these communities, we're empowering them, and we're doing that by establishing a sustainable oral health care system in those communities. So it's not a show up and be done system. We've got to create something there so that when we leave, because we can't be there for forever, we can't be there for more than really a week or two. When we leave, they don't wait a year for us to come back. That's the danger. And so we've got to do something. Now, it has to start with, first of all, to establish consistent care there. And us going right now on these humanitarian trips is just the first step. But the actual vision and mission of this organization is much bigger than that.
So let's talk about our goals then for a minute. Let's talk about, we have some very specific goals that we have set to achieve this mission. And we feel like it's a very, very doable mission, even though when you hear it at the beginning, it sounds, well, that sounds too lofty to be accomplished. But we have, with the partnering with the Society of the Precious Blood and St. Gaspar Hospital, we have some advantages that I think that a lot of humanitarian aid groups don't have, or even a 501c3 doesn't have access to, and that are allowing this. And so we've set these goals to be able to achieve this. And so I think let's go through those and let's talk about what our goals are and how we plan on achieving those.
So the first goal and what we have to do is to establish consistent oral health care in 3 communities. We got to start. Right now we're in 2 communities, and we're not consistent. Like we've gone twice. Our challenge has been, how do we get consistent care over there without us going over there every month?
Increased frequency of consistent care. Yeah.
So and the way to do that is to start to partner with other groups, have other people go. So last year we partnered with the Italian Dental Society, and they sent 2 Italian dentists over there for a few days to use our clinic and our supplies, which is fantastic. We've also now partnered with Mark Casas and his new nonprofit organization. I can't remember what it's called.
Smile Outreach International.
Smile Outreach International. They're going to take a trip in February, and they're going to go for a week, and they're going to do some service. And if we can get somebody there, for 9 of the 12 months.
By way of that's what St. Gaspar has asked.
That's what St. Gaspar has asked. Yeah, they get really busy during the holidays, or during Christmas and during Easter and so forth. But if we can get somebody there, if they can have a week of care, 1 week out of the 9 months that they want us there, that would be, I think, consistent oral health care, and people wouldn't necessarily wait a year to get treated. They would come back on a monthly basis. That's the first step, I think, in getting going. So
for me, one of the it's the most surprising events that happened the last time we went was we had a sit-down meeting with the hospital administration about what they were trying to accomplish. And I remember talking to one of the midwives, who just an awesome guy, right? And he, we find out that we discussed this idea of them charging for our services, right? And on the surface, you're like, wow, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you, we're coming over here to do this for, as a free service, which we do. We don't charge anything. And he says, and he got into it and he says, well, yeah. He says, I understand where you're coming from. He says, but you have to understand that this is multifaceted on our end. And if you come in and just provide free services and come in maybe once, maybe twice a year, maybe. We don't know if a group can show up. Maybe there's something happens and now we can't come. He says what that does is that makes them completely reliant on your free care, and they will postpone or not have anything done. They'll put it off until they think you're going to come again, and then they'll come and see us. And he says, and what that does for us is that it neuters us to be, as providers, as caregivers, because they won't come see us now. And he says, and we're always here ready to provide care, even if it's something that we can't treat dentally, which they can. They do have a dental therapist there, and they're hiring a dentist, which we'll get into in a minute. But it completely provides a dam for them to come mentally to come and do anything. And then on the flip side of it is that like we're trying to be self-sustaining here. We want to create something that we can't get dentists to stay here because we can't afford to pay them. And so we need to generate enough revenue to be able to pay for these dentists to stay here, because we need to offer competitive pay and not lose them to a government job or to another country or whatever. And so now he starts to paint this picture, and I'm like, holy crap, this if we're going to march down the road of being self-sustaining and get them on their own feet, this is the way to do it. You can't just show up and and I think we misunderstood what aid really looks like, and so it really shed some light and opened my eyes into what an evergreen project looks like. And if you're going to help somebody, you got to teach that man to fish or teach that person to fish. You can't just go catch fish for them all the time. And they knew that, they understood that, and then let us understand what was going on. And then all of a sudden, like, the world just kind of blew up in my mind of what was possible there, because we could get a TE on its feet and then move to the next place and build something with them again and perpetuate this to the point where this healthcare system that we talk about in our mission, when we talk about that mission, it is very doable because of the way we're going about doing it. And I just love that. I loved initially what I got offended by, I ended up falling in love with, and how unique that is to our mission and what we're trying to accomplish, I think is just so cool. And completely different mind, what's the mindset to the approach to accomplish this.
Yeah. Really took it to more of a sustainable model, right? Where it was before just kind of coming and providing what we thought was free care, to then like, how do we actually provide like ongoing services and make this a self-sustainable thing that happens, all year round, and how do we continue to empower them there locally to have access to care, not just when we're coming, but all the time. And so, yeah, big epiphany, right? And
huge. And
the ability to then make this an evergreen, ongoing project that then we can scale in other communities, right?
Yeah, and I think that is important to understand, that as we talk about this goal, is that it's accomplished through a lot of teamwork, right? But one of the big things we want Tanzanian dentists to be in place so that we no longer have to be there. And I think that people need to understand that is what we're working toward. And as we partner with St. Gaspar, we're able to accomplish that type of thing and offer an augmentation to what's happening there while providing care for all these things. And then, as we're going down the line of what our goals are, Jared, I just speak to the second component of that a little bit.
Yeah, so once we actually get dentists over there on a consistent basis, our hope is to create a curriculum so that these dentists can train the local dentists or the local dental therapists, whoever is in the clinic at that time, the local Tanzanian. And so that way there are, these dentists are providing not just a meaningful effort but they're doing a service to the Evergreen project of helping the oral health care improve, which is the overall goal. Not just establish oral health care, but get the oral health care system to get improved every time we go over. So there's this, the St. Gaspar's and other smaller communities have a problem hiring local dentists and retaining them because of wage.
Mm-hmm.
One of our hopes is that by us going over and taking local American dentists who are willing to train the other local Tanzanian dentists, that will help incentivize the local Tanzanian dentists to stay with St. Gaspar's or these clinics that we're helping to set up.
Which I think is, again, I don't know that that's happening anywhere definitely not in Tanzania.
No.
You know, but certainly in maybe in even other countries in Africa. I don't know. We don't know. But we have, so that's the first part. You know, our first goal is to get some self-sustaining clinics going, right? Let's talk about the second goal that we have towards our mission.
Yeah, so after we get these self-sustaining clinics going and these teaching of these doctors that are coming in and helping teach and mentor, we also have our next goal is to establish a dental education program a dental assistant education program at the vocational school. So there's an existing vocational school where they teach, like Ryan said, diesel mechanics or sewing or computer engineering or whatever it may be. But to establish a dental assistant program there would help contribute to improve the overall health care of the people of Tanzania.
Because it's one thing to get a dentist out there. It's another to have, and they already have a teaching hospital there. It's already in place. Again, these are not these far-reaching, hard things that sound like, oh my gosh, you're going to start an assisting school? It's like, well, no, we're not going to start an assisting school. They're going to start an assisting school. And I think, again, we're talking about the difference between, catching a fish and teaching a man to fish. And so these are some pretty cool goals. One of the ones that I think that is one of our goals that I think is completely, completely cool because it's something that we're focusing on is what we want to offer the traveling dentist, the dentist coming from, another place, what we want to offer for them, what we want we want some outcomes for them as well. And so, Ryan, I think, why don't you take a second and talk about if you'll just read the goal straight off our sheet here, Jared, and just, and then Ryan, just speak to it a little bit.
Yeah, so participating dentists will receive a meaningful, life-fulfilling, legacy-building experience through service in a genuinely underserved and unique part of the world. So the plan is to establish a curriculum and strategically think how the local dentist is trained. And then while we're there, we have an hour meeting 3 or 4 nights on the week in the trip, and we help the American dentists work through the Kilimanjaro Legacy Guide. And that legacy guide will help them with they'll get continuing education credit. So not only are you on a humanitarian trip, but you get some CE credits, which is pretty cool. But you're working with the doctors to help train them, and you are improving patient care. You're also, by doing this, you're improving your own practice when you get back to home as well.
You'll be a lot better at extractions. Let's say that much.
A lot better, yeah, that for sure.
What is the Kilimanjaro Legacy Guide?
So the Kilimanjaro Legacy Guide is again kind of a guide to help establish for the oncoming dentists that are sacrificing time in that to give to these communities is just a guide to help them kind of work through leaving a lasting legacy of change it and what they would like to see as they move forward in their career, right? So it's a guide that just to help them to put together what things are important in their life, what thing do they want to leave behind, how do they want to impact their communities, their family, those kind of things, what values do they want to leave behind. But to take this extraordinary opportunity to travel to Africa, work in these clinics with these amazing people, and then to use that as kind of a catalyst to like really think about what kind of legacy do you want to leave as you work through this life, right? And that's really the purpose, is to give them some opportunity for reflection, and again, how do they can continue to give once they get back home, or how do they continue to return back to Africa and continue to leave a legacy. That's part of, I think, the Dental Legacy Foundation is to not just leave a legacy for the work we're doing over in Africa, but those dentists that get to come and participate are also developing their own legacy plan as they come and do this, right?
Which is part of, for those unfamiliar with Elevation Association, that's one of our core values is legacy, and it's something that we've built an entire, plan on, a legacy plan, developing a legacy plan for yourself. So, and for us, this was a no-brainer opportunity to create something that's so much bigger than we are, and will hopefully be around a lot longer after we're done,
Yeah, I mean, with Elevation Association, we work on we take the dentists into a unique location to work on a life plan with their spouse at our Life Summit. And then again, this is kind of that same thing. Get them out of the office, get them in a unique scenario in Africa where they can focus on, their legacy plan. Like what kind of a legacy do they want to leave in their life? And so this gives them a great opportunity to get away from the office, get some clarity, have a unique experience, and then use that as a catalyst for okay, what do I really want to accomplish with my life?
Yeah, I guarantee that if anybody that comes will have a positive, unique experience, and that the impact that is left on anything that they give will be returned tenfold, just by nature of what it is and where it is. It's such a cool place and such an amazing opportunity. So this is kind of our mission. This is our goals. This is what we want to accomplish. It's one of these things that old adage of it takes a village to raise a kid. Well, I think it takes an army of dentists to treat a village, and it really takes a lot of people to accomplish this thing. And we're actively in the recruitment phase of trying to get help. And so, I mean, as you guys see it from where we're at now, and we're pretty new. I mean, we're not pretty new, we're really new. What are some things that Dental Legacy Foundation needs right now?
Well, some ways that, people can help and contribute is, obviously first for dentists to come and give of their time and their talents and their expertise to come serve over there on a mission trip with us. So if you're interested in that, you can visit, dentallegacyfoundation.org, look at the volunteer sheet, see when trips are happening, fill out an application to apply to come on a trip and come over and enjoy there. And beyond that, you can give of donations, your gifts and that go to help establish these, trips and these ongoing efforts to make these self-sustainable clinics there in Africa. And you don't have to be a dentist to do that. Anybody can contribute and help and can, the dollars, we always say your money goes a long way in Malong way. It really does.
Because way rhymes with way.
So small contributions can provide meaningful care. One thing we do here at our practice is $5 from every hygiene cleaning goes towards the foundation. So as people come here and choose our practice to get their teeth clean, they're making a contribution to help support those kids and families over in Africa. And so it's kind of a fun thing for our patients to come in and recognize hey, I'm getting my teeth clean, but this also goes to help these people over in Africa, that they're doing more than just getting their teeth clean. They're helping provide needed care for individuals over there.
Totally. Yeah. And if someone does become a contributor, what can they expect for that contribution to do? What's the outcome on these things? I mean, what can they expect the outcome to be from their contribution?
The contribution that they make goes towards patient care. So it's either going to be going toward the supplies, or it's going to be towards helping build that infrastructure for more visits. for those people who want to go and contribute in that way, in like a volunteer to service, just to give service, you can expect to, work with Ryan. This is probably a little shout out to Ryan, but Ryan puts a ton of time and effort into making sure that everything is in order before you go. We have to apply for a Tanzanian license. We have to work with the St. Gaspar's Catholic Church over there to make sure everything is in order. We, here at Dental Legacy Foundation, we work on making sure we got all the supplies you need for the trip. We help you set up, all of that. Ryan helps you get people in your office to help with donations as well. He makes banners for your office. It's a lot of effort that goes in behind the scenes, but it's to make sure that you have an amazing time while you're over there. And you're going to get over there, you're going to get well taken care of, all the transportation, all the food, all the housing's all taken care of. At the end of the trip, at the end of the service, you're going to be exhausted, and we're going to take a couple days and either do a safari or some other little vacation just to unwind before you head back and go back to work in America. And you're gonna come back physically exhausted, but mentally you're gonna have more energy than you've ever had before. And your staff is gonna notice, your patients are gonna notice, and it's gonna be a different experience treating your patients when you get back after you go through this opportunity.
Well, let's talk impact then.
I think just something to add again, and maybe to apply with the impact too, was the additional, not just the palliative care and the emergency needs that we took care of, but we did a lot of hygiene education on this last trip, and even the trip before, we gave out over 2,000 hygiene kits to the kids and the families, and so that they could learn the importance of brushing their teeth, flossing, and toothpaste and those kind of things. And it was like Christmas for the kids. We'd see them in the villages with their toothbrushes. Like every time we walked by, they'd be like, "I got a toothbrush."
Some of them have never had a toothbrush.
Right. And so and again,
I would
so
say the majority.
Yeah.
I would say 95% of them have never had a toothbrush.
So again, when you're doing like a $5 donation towards your cleaning and stuff like that, that takes care of that hygiene kit. Like it provides the toothpaste and the brush and the floss for those kids, so that they can have that preventative thing and learn the importance of preventative care.
So you started down the path, and Ryan, you're a numbers guy. You started down the path of talking about the impact with. And I oh my gosh, I love going to the girls' primary school, seeing them in their uniforms and singing their songs and doing everything. And I only got a little window on that because I know there was another group that was working hard at doing the hygiene instruction at those schools. But to see that impact, to actually see all these kids and giving them the opportunity to get ahead of this, to have preventative care. That's a little harder to track sometimes, but we certainly tracked, the amount of treatment that we performed while we were there. So just kind of run us through that impact, those numbers that we had.
So like the impact on a single trip, like this trip we did last year in this June, we took over, how many dentists did we end up having come over? 5 dentists and some assistants in that. And so the dentists performed, they saw roughly about 600 people in the clinical days when we were over there. And we performed, over 1,000 different procedures in that time frame. So it's a busy go. Sometimes you would turn around and the patient would stand up, the doc would go to grab something, and by the time he turned around, somebody else was.
I couldn't change my gloves faster.
Somebody else was in the chair, right, ready to go, and it was just like boom, 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 fast. And some of the docs, they were numbing a couple while they were working on others, and just doing an amazing job of care. But we were able to provide a lot of care, a lot of procedures in just a short amount of time, right? Because we're kind of limited on the time that we're over there, but. Again, saw hundreds of patients, performed thousands of procedures. Again, we handed out over 2,000 hygiene kits, and educated some more that we just didn't have kits for.
Yeah.
Just because just the lack of being able to haul enough materials over there. So the need is just so great
It's
and
staggering.
so big, it's staggering. But again, as we continue to do more and more of these visits and continue to establish that ongoing sustainable clinic, then the therapist and the dentist are able to see additional patients, while we're not there.
Yeah.
And so the amount of impact that we can have on those communities really escalates, right?
Mhm.
From multiple visits now that we're coming back every year, and then the ongoing sustaining care. So we're super excited about like the opportunity of the impact that we can have on those communities.
Yeah, and I love that we were able to, thanks to Midmark, we put 3, like banging chairs in there, brand new chairs. So, I think that a dentist that's coming over, to work can expect to have, a new Midmark chair to work on, and they can have, we have portable units as well. We've got some other things that the biggest thing that I can think of right off the bat is radiology. To have radiology there and to be able to diagnose at a level that I don't think is possible anywhere else in Tanzania is amazing. And then you compound all of that with bringing, we had a lab owner come with us. He and his wife came and just unlocked this whole new world of possibilities for these people, and the smiles after they got their flippers and these prosthetics, where they haven't had a tooth in the front for ages, and just these before and afters that we were able to take were so cool. And so this impact is, you talk about, outcomes and impact on the people. Some of it, how do you measure gratitude? How do you measure like confidence? How do you measure these things? And so there's so much that comes from all this that we can't put, a scale on to know the impact or the outcome of it. And it's just so awesome. And it's such a special thing that if someone has never had the opportunity to go and do something like this, again, we encourage someone, if you're a doc out there or an assistant, whoever you are, a hygienist, whoever you are, and you want to go do something like this, contact us for sure. Like, we're always looking for people to come. But maybe if it's not the right fit, contact someone else, because there are other opportunities that are out there. But of course, we'd love to have somebody. And what we're doing, we believe, is unique. And I think that what we're doing is going to live on, like I said earlier, beyond our career, which I think is pretty special and pretty big. And let's hope that legacy that we've started has a long, long life, and that transcends generations. I think that would be absolutely amazing.
That was a great ending.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I got some questions. Are you guys ready to go into
Sure.
it?
Yeah, let's power through.
I just want to double check everything's still rolling.
Yep.
Is the G5 good?
Yeah, I'll check this. Sorry.
Still rolling.
Butt's so sore. This chair is terrible.
About these
I need some cushion.
Okay. We are still.
These are okay for an hour meeting once a week.
Okay, Jared, we've talked a lot about legacy. Why is legacy such an important thing for you? Lots of people I know could care less about leaving a legacy. It's not even in their brain. Why is this? It's like part of this team is legacy, and part of the thing that you guys push out for all your different practices is legacy.
Before we start, Ryan, could I just have you knock the cable to your left off the table? On your left? Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
We talk a lot about leaving a legacy. Why leave a legacy? What is the importance of leaving a legacy? Who cares whether you leave a legacy or not? And I think that is the wrong mentality that a lot of people have now. Is people have a mentality of, I'm in it for me. I'm going to get as much as I can out of this. It's a very me situation that we live in, society that we've created. And when you start to think about the legacy that you leave, you start to think about other people that are going to be impacted by the actions that you do. And if you wait till you're 90 years old to think about those actions, it's too late. So by thinking about those actions now, think about the actions that impact other people, you can make a bigger effect by doing it now than waiting till you're older, or not even considering it at all. And leaving a legacy, there's lots of different ways to leave a legacy. You can leave a financial legacy, you can leave, a health legacy, you can leave a spiritual legacy, whatever legacy that you want to leave, it's totally up to you. But I think at the end of life, I don't think when reading and talking about people who have come to the end of life, there are a lot of regrets. A lot of people regret things, or doing things, or not doing things. And what we hope here at Dental Legacy Foundation is that you think about what you want that legacy to be, you experience other people's legacies, and you are able to do something for somebody else starting now.
I listened to a quote the other day that was, you can't take it with you when you go, right? You've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse, but you can leave it behind when you go, right? And I think that's what leaving a legacy is all about, is like, leaving it for generations behind, leaving an impact. Because, one thing's for sure, we're all going to die, right? But what do we leave behind?
I came across a quote the other day that I loved it. It was, and it says, you can choose. I think we leave a legacy whether or not we want to. So this idea of like, oh, people don't think about leaving a legacy. Well, you're going to leave one whether you think about it or not. It might be a shallow, crappy legacy. Certainly there's a lot of people that have left horrible legacies. But you can choose to be legendary. And I was like, wait, okay. And I came across this quote, and it says, a legend is left by what you do. It is established by the things you do, the things you create, and what you're known for in doing towards the end of your life. A legacy, on the other hand, is who you really are. So you're going to leave a legacy. Who are you really? What does your legacy say about who you are? What is it? What have you left behind when people think about who you are? I want to be legendary not in the sense of like in a prideful way, but that I've done something that is impactful, and I want people to be able to look at my legacy and see who I was through what I've left behind and what my actions were in my life. And, so this idea of like, oh, well, people don't think about, it's not even on their radar to leave a legacy. Yeah, well, okay, that's fine. That doesn't mean they're not going to do it, So if you're going to do it anyway, why not be legendary?
That's right.
Like it. One thing that was a little bit unclear is, so far, have you guys just focused on Tanzania at this point?
Yeah, that's it.
Are there other places that you envision funding, if funding wasn't an issue, all that kind of stuff? Are there other places that that you've already identified for?
Just in Tanzania.
Okay.
There are other cities and villages in Tanzania.
What makes Tanzania, and you did hit on this for sure, but I want to make it 1 60-second thing. What have you identified in Tanzania that is so important that you guys are able to go in and really make a difference?
Sustainability.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons why Tanzania why Dental Legacy Foundation is tied to Tanzania. And I think that a big reason is that Tanzania found us, that it wasn't that we went out and said, we should go to Tanzania and go do this thing. But Tanzania found us, and it found us by way of Society of the Precious Blood, and specifically St. Gaspar Hospital and the Malangwe Dispensary. And, because of those things, that opened the doorway to what you were just talking about with sustainability, right? To have them self-reliant and to be able to create a long-term sustainable dental healthcare system that then has the potential to grow without us, which that is the goal, right? Let's get ourselves out of the equation, not because we don't want to be involved, because we don't need to be involved.
I think that's why we're so fortunate with our partnerships with, St. Gaspar, is the opportunity to provide sustaining care that can be sustained, because then, ongoing care requires facilities, staff, training, equipment, those kind of things, maintenance. And so by partnering with them, it allows us to make this thing evergreen, which is really what we're trying to do is to continue this, long after we're gone, and not just come, treat, and then leave, but to come, continue to add to that every year. So
There are a lot of humanitarian efforts that go once or twice, and then for whatever reason kind of dry up, whether it is the foundation wasn't strong, or whether the funding dried up, or what it was. Our partner in this, St. Gaspar's, isn't going anywhere. They've been there forever. They have 27 different establishments within the country of Tanzania, and they have places throughout the country. But if we could eventually get 27 clinics going in Tanzania, that would be a lifetime opportunity for us, and that is a big enough goal for Dental Legacy Foundation to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
This next question is I would expect a little bit of passion about this to really set someone straight who doesn't understand how important dental care is, because from the perspective of a donor, they might be giving to a lot of things that they think are important to them, and they might go, dental care, that's last on the list. That's not, why do I care about that? And so this, I think I'm looking for a little bit of a passionate response of like, you don't understand like we've been to Tanzania where there isn't a lot of dental care, and this is the results of it. So speak to that donor who's going, my dollars are better spent elsewhere.
need to save a dog.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good causes out there, right? And there's a lot of reasons to donate to a lot of good causes, or contribute in some way. And I do think that dentistry and dental oftentimes, and this is really frustrating, being a dentist, that we're nominalized, we're marginalized in the impact and the importance of oral health, because we take it for granted in the Western, society. It's something that we've grown up with, that you just are taken to the dentist, or even if you're not taking the dentist, you at least have access to go and see a dentist, right? And so this is a point of frustration for me, that I don't think that people quite understand how important and impactful dental health is. There are disease processes. People need to understand this, that if you end up with an infection, with an abscess of even a single tooth, that abscess can go systemic and kill someone. It can kill them. It can create all sorts of problems. They can die of an infection to the brain because it travels there. They can die because of a clot. They can die just straight from a systemic bacterial infection. So there are so many ways. It's like, oh, well, it's just dentistry. It's just dentistry. It's just oral health. And it's so not. It's so not. It's just dentistry because we take it for granted. And that's disappointing, that it's looked at in a way that it's somehow less important than some other form of healthcare, which I don't or undervalue them, but for some reason dentistry gets undervalued, and I really do think it's because we're so used to it. We're just so, it's a part of society in Western, the Western world, and for the people that don't have it, it's extremely serious. Not only that, it's incredibly painful. For anyone that's ever had, I always tell people that, for the ladies that we have that are patients that come in and they say, I can't tell you how many of them that have had an abscess that have said, I'd rather have childbirth than go through this again. Which I, obviously don't have a point of reference, but, when people come in and they're in pain, they're in tears. They're begging for, it doesn't matter what's going on. Take it out. They always say, just take it out. I don't care. Do whatever it takes. Just take it out. Knock me out. Like, these are the things that we always say. Well, imagine living with that, where you don't have the option to take it out because it's already been broken off. Somebody tried to take it out, broke it off, left the roots in there. Now they're infected. Now you're in incredible levels of pain. There is no taking it out. There's nobody there to take it out. So you just live with it. and then it eats away the bone, So, Jared and I deal with this all the time. Now you have this abscess that's eating away bone. It's close to the brain. It's destroying their sinus. It's destroying parts of their jaw. They can't function normally. Their way of life is completely degraded simply by the fact that they can't eat. If they're kids and it's painful, they won't eat and they go into malnutrition. The impacts of this are massive, and again, it's just so marginalized, and it's one of these things that, for me, I'm very passionate about, because it's something that I think any dentist that you were to talk to would feel the same way, because we deal with it in and out, the ins and outs of it every day. But to go to a place like Tanzania and see that, oh my gosh, the effects of these are still very real, and that this is not something that's, just a discomfort or an annoyance or an inconvenience, but this is a life or death type of thing. I really want people to understand that they see that the breadth and seriousness of the impact that dental healthcare can have.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was great. What do you see for future growth in DLF if properly funded?
That's funny you should ask. We just talked about this.
I think as we look forward to the future and kind of what growth and continued impact that we can have, I think right now we're focused in the next 5 years to kind of get these 3 clinics up and running, fully functional and established, and then beyond that to continue to work with St. Gaspar Hospital where they have infrastructure in place, and to continue to, again, start with remote clinics until we can establish full-time clinics and continue to have these sustainable clinics established throughout Tanzania within the organization of St. Gaspar Hospital.
Yeah, and have visits. I think the goal too is to have, what we'd like to see is 9 months out of the year, have some group travel in to augment the clinics there, but also to be training the local Tanzanian dentists, which is pivotal to what our goal is and our mission is to accomplish this long-term thing. So I think in the future we're going to see the Society of the Precious Blood's ability to hire more local dentists and incentivize them, because they've got state-of-the-art equipment. They've got the best equipment in the country. They've got the capacity to be mentored and taught by, the dentists from, Italy and dentists from the United States and Canada, and to have this more advanced Western education. I think that's very soft, and it's very, and I'm not saying that in an arrogant way, but more a realistic way, that is very appealing, and I know that if I was in their shoes, to me, that would be a big incentive. So to incentivize, but also to provide a system in place that allows for the additional hiring and building out of these clinics. So I just think that the future, Jared talked about, having the possibility of having 27, different clinics, whether they be, full-time clinics or just beginning to be clinics, temporary clinics or whatever, I think is really what would be amazing to see.
We definitely got, in my mind, a reel for how dentists can help. And we talked broadly about how regular people can help. I'm thinking, let's start by saying, if you're not a dentist and you want to help, this is how. So whoever wants to handle that one.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, so if you're not a dentist and you want to help, there's a lot of different ways to help. Because how many times have we been approached by friends? I get messages on Facebook all the time. They're like, even though I'm not a dentist, I want to help. And these are nurses, these are PAs, so even people within the medical community. And then, people that are completely not in the medical community still see what we're doing and they get excited about it and they say, okay, well, how can I help? And I think that there's multiple ways that you could come on board and help and be a contributor. There is the possibility of coming with us. There is room for things that we're doing that work in having, we need assistance. You don't necessarily have to be a trained dental assistant. We'll teach you how. Talk about on-the-job training. Our spouses have all been assistants to what we're doing. Ryan's assisted, and We've had the outreach, community outreach, going to these primary schools and teaching oral hygiene instructions, helping out with some of the peripheral things that happen around the hospital. There's a lot of opportunity to help on that front. And then the biggest thing is you don't have to come with us to help. Contribute. I mean, gosh, $5 makes a difference. For someone that doesn't have a lot of money, or someone that does have a lot of money, just contributing financially is a big deal. And there's a lot of people out there with their hands out saying, contribute here, contribute here. I think what's different about us is we have this sustainable model that I think when someone contributes, their money's going to go a long way, right? So we joke about that, but it really does go to serve a much greater purpose. It's not just putting a Band-Aid on something. We're looking for the cure for the problem of oral health care in Tanzania. And so this is a much loftier goal. And it's not that it's better than anybody else's or less better than anybody else's, but it is ours, and it's what we're working towards. And it's something that we know if someone contributes that they will have made an impact on these people's lives. So there's a lot of ways to support. If you have access to donations of different things, certainly reach out to us. We'd be interested in hearing from them. There's things that can be done on the periphery that are outside of our mission, but we can put them in contact with people that it might be their mission as well. That's one of the beautiful things about doing this is you start to network with people that know, that have a different mission, but are trying to serve the people as well. It's pretty rad.
I think there's, also want to just make sure that people want to help know they can go to our website, dentallegacyfoundation.org. You can go to the donation page. You can make a reoccurring donation if you want to contribute, like, $5, $10 a month or more. Or again, those of you who have more to contribute, you can do through your financial advisors. You can have them donate to the Dental Legacy Foundation to, again, have a great tax write-off and to, again, provide services and benefits to the people of Tanzania.
Yeah, and we often have side projects that we're working on while we're there as well. And so if you have an idea, or if you want to just, like Dan said, if you just want to help out but not sure how, just contact us. Send us an email, call us. Be happy to talk with you. Send us a message on Facebook, whatever it may be. And we'll let you know what we have going on that year. Like Dan said, we need people to assist. We need people to do hygiene education. It's not that hard. You don't have to have any specific skills to teach somebody how to brush and floss. But you'll be doing presentations, handing out hygiene kits. There's various different ways to serve without being a dentist or without necessarily giving cash money donations.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, it probably takes two people to support each dentist when we go on these trips. It's the dentists that have a singular job. It's the non-dentists that have to wear multiple hats. And one minute they're doing sterilization, the next they're assisting, the next they're teaching at a primary school, the next they're doing community relations. And so there's so many great ways to help out.
I want to get the give a fish, give us the difference between giving a fish and teaching a man how to fish analogy, because it was used a couple times and I think it works really well. Giving someone a fish is the free care that you were originally wanting to provide. Teaching a man to fish is the self-sustaining version of that. Can we do that in like a 60-second blurb?
No problem. Yeah, I think there's the old analogy of, giving a man a fish versus teaching the man to fish, right? And I think that there's a higher way, a higher path, to take in that analogy. And for us in the Dental Legacy Foundation, light was really shown on this idea of teaching a man to fish. And we accomplished that by creating a recurring system of revenue and care that is built into the Tanzanian, the St. Gaspar Hospital itself. And that would include them bringing on a Tanzanian dentist that then starts to create revenue for the hospital as well, so that they can continue to build more clinics, to continue to offer more care to more areas that we come in and we augment. And so in some ways, we figuratively teach a man to fish, and then we literally teach the man to fish or the woman to fish by teaching the dentist advanced techniques in dentistry with advanced materials, with modern materials, and with the ones that we're able to bring over and supply them with. And so we take that that level of care to that next level. We elevate that level of care. And so it in some ways it's figuratively teaching a man to fish, and then in a lot of ways it's literally teaching a man to fish.
And Jared, as far as people being grateful that you're there, is that because like they understand that you're a dentist and you're there to help them, or is it because they know you're a dentist and everybody knows of someone around them who has a problem with their teeth or oral whatever? So I guess my question is, why are they so grateful that you're there? And if you could start it with,
yeah.
The people of Tanzania are so grateful that we're there.
The people of Tanzania are so grateful that we're there, because if we weren't there, they wouldn't receive the care, the palliative care that they need in order to feel better, in order to survive, in order to eat better, in order to live better, in order to have the energy to live their lives. They are grateful that we would sacrifice our time and effort and travel over there, and we bring our supplies, we bring our donations, everything with us and we reach them in the far reaches of the corners of the country where no one else goes.
Sorry. I think that camera just, oh, that fell on the camera.
That fell on.
Yeah, it bumped it a bit, so
Sorry about that.
you'll just have to tilt it down just a little.
Even the fixtures are done. You're like,
Everybody's done.
We're out of here. We're done.
I only have one more after this, so we're almost there. How's that?
Yeah.
No adjustments?
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Are we rolling? Should I do that again?
Yes, please.
You know, the people of Tanzania are so grateful that we're there. And they're so grateful because if we weren't there, if we didn't show up, then they wouldn't get the care they need in order to survive. So we literally are saving some lives. You know, we talked about the problems of an infection, of an infected tooth, how it affects not just the mouth, but it affects the whole body. You know, when they have an infection, their body is continuously fighting against that infection, and it has a hard time fighting off all the rest of the infections that they're exposed to, the malaria or the HIV or whatever it may be. And so they're so grateful that we're there, that their gratitude comes across as love, and you can feel it when they walk in. They come dressed in their best dress. They take off their shoes. They afterwards they always thank the dentist, and they always are grateful that we're there to take care of not just them, but their family, their friends, and their community, because of the impact that's being made on the small service that we're able to do there.
Perfect. And then the last one I just wanted to put out there, if there are any specific stories of anyone, you know, like you guys told, I think, a couple, if there are any others that you wanted to tell of people that you know were immediately relieved of pain or even life saved based on you guys being there, this would be a great opportunity to tell those stories, if there are any additional.
That Maasai warrior story was kind of cool, right? Where they pulled his teeth out.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So the Maasai warriors have a tradition. The tribes, if you see any of the adults, well, teenagers and adults, they're all missing their front two bottom teeth down here. And when a Maasai warrior came in to get treated, he told us the reason of why it was. It's because, and what happens is when the kid turns 7 or 8, they'll just take out those 2 teeth. And we said, well, why do you take out the 2 teeth? And he said, well, because when you get sick, you have a way to feed them. And we're like, what do you mean when you get sick? He goes, you know, when you're when your jaw locks. And we thought, oh, this is tetanus. When you have tetanus, you get lockjaw and you can't open. Well, in America, we go get a shot, and we're relieved of that. In Tanzania, that's not available. So in order to survive, they preemptively take out their teeth so they have a space where they can feed them because their jaw won't open for weeks or months at a time. It's crazy. There was Marin's, my wife's favorite story from Malongwe was our first year that we went to Malongwe. We saw a patient who had a growth on the inside of her cheek, and we weren't comfortable removing it. Dan and I, we're not surgeons. We weren't sure what the effects of it were, and so we didn't remove it that first time. But the second year we went back, we took an oral surgeon with us. And that lady showed up again to be treated, just dental wise. But while the oral surgeon saw her, he excised, he took out that tumor, that growth that was on the inside of her cheek. Now it was simply a manifestation of some cancer that had probably or some disease that had probably spread throughout other parts of her body. But from that moment on, she was so relieved that the quality of her life, just being able to chew again, being able to smile and move her lips and her cheeks without this big bulging mass inside of her cheek, she was unbelievably grateful for that. Even though we know that there's more treatment that she needed and we can provide, we were able to provide that little bit of relief for her in that moment.
That's awesome. Tell us about some of the guys that got the artificial teeth, because that's such a rare thing over there, right?
Yeah, it's so rare. There was a guy in Itigi who came in and he had the biggest smile of anybody I've ever seen. He was the happiest guy, and he was missing his front tooth. He was probably 18 or 20 years old, and he came in and he had got knocked out in an accident. He had chipped his other front tooth, and so we got him in. We fixed his other front tooth. We just put some filling material on it. We covered that part of it, and then we took an impression and we made a little flipper, a little retainer with a tooth on it that he could wear around. And I don't know how, but his smile got bigger. It was incredible. It was you could see the light just kind of shine through his eyes as he was smiling, because if we weren't there, he would have been without a front tooth for the rest of his life. And the social impact of having all of your teeth is huge for everybody in every country. It doesn't matter where you are. You're walking around missing a front tooth and you automatically are stereotyped as a certain type of person or come from a certain type of background. But to be able to provide that for him is absolutely going to be life-changing for the rest of his life.
I've got two stories that I love. The first was, we were working in the clinic in Itigi, and this, you could tell he was a kid. This kid comes in and they say, yeah, he had two of his front teeth were knocked, he got hit in the face, and remember that kid that came in with his teeth broken, and they're broken pretty far off, and I was like, that can't be good. At this point, we didn't have radiology, and it's like, man, I'm not sure what I can do to help you out, and so comes to find out he's 13 years old. He was huge. He was a giant kid, and Tanzanians aren't big. Like, this was just a big kid, and I was like, wow, walking around at 13, and kids aren't really nice to each other at any place at any age. Given an opportunity to tease one another, they probably will. And so I'm like, he's probably getting some ridicule. And so my wife's like, isn't there anything you can do? And I'm like, yeah, I guess we'll do what we can. And so I ended up doing a couple of root canals, the best that I could without having all the, that was, talk about a quick way to make you grateful for your equipment back home. I did a couple of root canals and did some buildups, and we took some pictures with this kid. He wouldn't smile when he came in because he was so self-conscious. And our translators were saying, yeah, he's very self-conscious about this. And we've got some pictures with us and with him smiling big after. And I that was really a cool thing and a really fun thing to do. And then this last year when we went, we were in Malongwe, and had this lady come in, and her chief complaint was that she was having some pain from it was like 2 broken teeth, I think is what, 2 or 3. And you remember this, Ryan. Yeah. And as I sit down to do the exam, I'm counting teeth, and I'm like, okay, there's more than 2 or 3 broken teeth here. I counted 9. And I said, okay, well, we can't leave these in here. This is going to become a problem down the road. She said, well, they don't hurt me. And I'm like, they will, or it's going to cause a bigger problem. So I sit her down and I go to work and I start pulling out these, broken teeth and root tips. By the time I was done, I think I pulled out 11 or 12 that we couldn't see because they were either under the tissue or the tissue had grown over them because of these long-standing chronic infections, And so the tissue, there was so much hypertrophy around these tissues, you couldn't even recognize that were there. And, I don't think that she quite gathered like what we had done, but knowing that we probably prevented some pretty serious infection or stopped some pretty serious infection and probably prevented some more serious systemic issues was a big deal. And I do have one more story that I absolutely, this was, we had, I won't say who it was due to patient confidentiality, of course, but we had one of the fathers come and sit down in the chair, and he never stopped smiling. He always smiled. If you remember, he smiled, and he comes in. He says, "Yeah, I've got this thing that's been bothering." His English was fantastic, and he's like, "I've got this spot that when I originally had it looked at, I had a dentist look at it, and they said they treated it, but then it started hurting a couple weeks after, and then they pulled it out, and then it started hurting a couple weeks after that, and again, I don't have any imaging. We don't have imaging yet. It's not set up yet." And so I'm doing the exam and I look in there and I was like, okay, listen, Father, I'm going to have to open this up to find out what's going on. You obviously have an infection here. This isn't good. Let me treat it. And so he says, yeah, do what you have to do. And so I opened it up. There was 2 root tips that were, left behind by the extraction by the dentist. And this was where the formation of this idea really took hold, that we are going to train these Tanzanian dentists, because he was worked on twice by a Tanzanian dentist. And it's not that Tanzanian dentists are bad. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's that they maybe don't have the
equipment.
Yeah, the equipment, the training, and the capacity, these places to be able to do the things to the standard of care that we understand. And so then it became that next component, that next goal of training these dentists to be more proficient and then supply them with the equipment and the instruments that allow them to be proficient and successful in their treatment really took hold. And so those are a couple of stories that were pretty cool to me. And I just love sharing those stories.
That's the father that let me drive the Land Rover around the compound. He was awesome.
The Land Rover that when you think of Africa, right?
It's the
Defender,
Land Rover. Yeah, the Defender. Do you remember in Malongwe that first year, that kid, that like 9 or 10-year-old boy who came in and put his own blindfold on? That was so cool. He came in and put his own blindfold on, lay down in the chair, and we were like, what is going on? Asked the translator, what is he doing? His translator asked his dad, and he said, he is scared to death. He is terrified, doesn't know what's going to happen, but he trusts you guys. He knows he needs to have some stuff done. And he figures if he can just blindfold himself and not see it, then he can get through it.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Well, not long after him, there was another guy that came in that he sits down in the chair and he puts the death grip on the sides of the chair, right? I'm like, he's gonna break the chair. You can see his white knuckling it through it. We haven't done anything yet. All we've done is laid him in the chair, and he opens up, just opens huge, and he's like bracing for impact. And, he doesn't speak a whole lot of English. My Swahili's non-existent. And I'm trying to explain to him, I'm just taking a look. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, no, I'm just looking. And he's like, okay, brace for impact. And he's just terrified. I can see he's had some other extractions done. I said, have you ever had work done before? He said, yeah, I've gone to, these other people that have taken teeth out. And I'm like, okay. And then I go in and we see that we need to do some work. So I get him numb, and he takes it like a boss. Like, he doesn't flinch. He's already, not that I could tell anyway, because he looks like he's under incredible amounts of duress, just, bracing for impact. And my favorite thing is that he's closing his eyes, just squeezing them together. And after I give him a shot, he goes like this with one eye, opens one eye and looks around, and expecting what to see. And then he did it again when I took the tooth out, and he was just like, he was in awe that it didn't hurt, that he was like, you got this done without me, screaming in agony. It was pretty funny. His like opening his one eye, looking around was really funny to me. And but it's I mean, we laugh at it, but for them, I mean, think about that. They went and had this treatment done. It didn't hurt, It's like, wow, and to have a grown man have it had such a bad experience before that he's just like, I think it's what I would expect someone if you said, all right, line up and Mike Tyson's going to come punch you in the face. Like that's the way I would brace for impact. Like that's what he looked like. And I think I like that experience. That was pretty cool too.
Awesome.
That's great. Yeah, that's all I have. You guys have anything else?
No, I've got a party I got to get to.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I got.
That was awesome.
I got Ben and Caleb here. They're gonna help me wrap it all up.
All right, cool.
I think you guys have a ton